And hello everyone there at your house. I'm very happy to be here again. Andrea from CAAT Projects, and I got again invited by the OT radio crew that is here doing an amazing work as always every Friday, and they are all volunteers, so if you want to support them, you have a link that you can donate something. So you might be seeing this from Facebook, but you can also check it from our page ot301.nl to have a better quality. And I'm very, very happy today because I have here an amazing group, Papaya Kuir, that is going to share with us some stories about activism and actually the current situation in Colombia right now. I'm with Nadia and Alejandra. They will explain a little bit more about themselves and also what Papaya Kuir is. I hope you are very curious because it's going to be an amazing hour. And then in the end, we're going to make some time for your questions. So if you are on Facebook, you can just leave us some comments. I will be looking there to make sure I'm not missing your questions. If you are seeing from the website, you can send an email to CAAT projects, CAAT with CAAT projects @gmail.com. And we will start, but we'll start not in a conventional way. We will start with a song, right? So let's enjoy a song and we come back right after.
Flaco flow, melanina, melanina.
¿Y quién se esconde detrás de la maleza que acecha? Disparando flechas de acero hasta convertirse en un animal felino, más peligroso que Tony Presidio, vendiendo en claro misión y al vacino. Primero al trato, sino al olvido. Basta ya, detonación y estallidos. Contraatacan con flecha y estaca, y mira va su AK, a punto de estallar la matraca. Semilla que da el compás para traquear las maracas. Reunidos en el manglar serenata, al frente va una fila afinada que ahora marcha. Un tintimplín de piedras que machacan, pura materia fina que se empaca en pacas. Corrupción, ambición más que la plata, las cagojas rayan latas. El caballo es el que saca y mata, desde la torre reina el peón con la estaca. Muchos catan, al jaguar camufla de grillo. Vale más callar porque si no puede estallar. Todo es así, es sencillo. En la maleza esa, la que oculta mi cabeza, la que ensucia mi limpieza, la razón de mi tristeza, Unos combatimos y otros rezan, uno es el cazador y otro la presa. Combatientes, oh, ya no siento el dolor, mis heridas se sanaron pero a base de rencor. Contra el gobierno, la oligarquía, porque para ellos no vale nada mi vida. Supa que supa la bala sobre mi cabeza, mientras mi madre en la casa reza que reza. Todos los días lloran por mí, ting, money, te do pingüí. Hoy mataron uno, menos mal que yo no fui. Así es como funciona este país, así es como me tratan a mí. Marchitan rosas en el campo, en la ciudad se escucha el llanto espanto.
Hi, thanks for the music. We have a DJ Aleja also here. She's in the background, but she is putting the music for us. And that was a song by. The song is called Flaco Flow y Melanina. No, the artists are called Flaco Flow y Melanina, and the song is called La Jungla, the jungle. We are getting this music from Rasureitor, is a Colombian artist and a DJ of political hip hop. So thank you, Rasureitor, for making this playlist for us. And we will be playing all these political rap songs during this session. Should I keep going?
We would like to thank CAAT Projects for inviting us today, and to the OT301 for letting us have this space. I'm a little bit nervous. You can tell I don't do this that often. And let me introduce myself. My name is Alejandra. I am a Mexican transgender woman with a sex work and homelessness experience. I've been living in the Netherlands as an asylum seeker for the past 5 years, and I am a member of Papaya Kuir, which is the project we'll be talking about today. Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you, CAAT and OT301. I'm Nadia Bekkers. I'm also part of Papaya Kuir. We started Papaya Kuir last year, officially, even though in the last few years we have been organizing events around Latinx subjects, artists, things happening in Latin America. Also inviting artists from Latin America and asking them to perform. And since last year, we got together with Alejandra, with Lauren, and with Paula, and we started Papaya Kuir.
Yes, and so the reason we started the project is because we realized throughout these years the big need for a community. There was here in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam. We were here, but we were not connected. And for many of us, especially for trans and queer migrants, we already don't have a family where we come from. So it was important to have one. And now that we are on this topic, we would like to say that to be a trans migrant, it means to cross borders. And most of the times we do it in what you can call an illegal way, because the doors most of the times are really close for us. And we escape violence, which most of the times comes from within our own families and our societal background. And there's a lot of intolerance and hate in where we come from. But now we are here to change that narrative.
Actually, sorry to interrupt, I just forgot to say something. Last Monday, the 17th of May, was the International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia, and Biphobia, right? So this is also a bit the awareness week of all the work that still needs to be done, because unfortunately there is still a lot of people that lose their life because of hate crimes, just because of their gender identity. So yeah, so it's actually quite nice that you are here on this week to bring this topic that is very important, and the ones that are not keep on forgetting that we really need to change our mindset and our narrative. So thanks for the reminder.
Thank you.
Yeah, and something that we also want to put more light on with Papaya Kuir is the realities of Latin America nowadays, that there's still a lot of poverty, a lot of violence, a lot of insecurity. And that this unstable position of the country, this unstable condition, is also held up by Europe and by the US especially. And so we also want to shine light on this, that Europe and the US and multinationals are actually responsible for the unstable situation in Latin America, and that they're actually profiting from it. So how can we find ways to not only, of course, create community and do activism with people that are in the Netherlands, but how can we also, actually what we all would love to see is how can we help to change the situation in Latin America so that people don't give up their lives, don't give up the people they love to go to a country they don't know and have to start all over again, because this is something that nobody does voluntarily, you know? So, yeah, the part of the discourse of Papaya Kuir is also to raise more awareness about this and how the global economic system is keeping this imbalance going, you know? It's not changing. If you look at, for example, the cocaine market, the biggest takers of cocaine are the US and Europe, especially England and Spain. And most of the cocaine that enters Europe comes into the harbor of Rotterdam. So, yeah, and this cocaine business causes a lot of violence and instability in the countries of Latin America, where even the narcotraficantes have so much power that they're basically the government, or they influence the people who are in government so much that, this doesn't help to create a more stable and safe situation for the people living there. And as Papaya Kuir, we also want to put light on that. So how the Netherlands, how Europe, how the US is keeping this this situation of precarity in place in order to profit from it. So yeah, it's a lot of things we're busy with, but we're an intersectional collective. So we try to look at all the different things that are happening and not to exclude any struggle or oppression.
Correct. And to complement what you're saying, is very important to be clear on this. Poverty, injustice, violence in the global south happens under the auspice of the rich countries in the global north. It's very important to be clear that if is this big market for drugs that fuels the problems that happen in the global south, and in our case in Latin America, and those situations of precarity and poverty and violence and marginalization make the lives of queer and trans people even more on the, they put them even more on the margins, and thus many of us are forced to flee where we were born, flee to the US, flee to Europe, but I must say we are still not welcome here. In the US, asylum seekers and refugees are put in jails. There have been stories of transgender women who have been put in jail in the US just for seeking asylum, fleeing violence, and when they make it to the borders, which is already really difficult because crossing Mexico is a living hell, but when you have already crossed the border and have requested asylum, you are being put in jail for months or for years. And in some cases, you if you have an HIV condition, HIV medication is negated to you. There have been cases such as Roxana Martinez, who died due to lack of access to retrovirals, lack of access to HIV medication. And well, now that's the US. I know Europe loves to criticize the US, but there is more. There's also Europe, there's also the Netherlands. In the Netherlands, asylum seekers from Latin America are not given a fair chance to present their cases. And thus many of us end up either in an undocumented status, living all over the country, surviving in any best way we can, many times doing sex work, which at the same time is punished and creates a catch-22 situation, which forces people to live underground. And for those who are now in the system, in the asylum system, you can spend years and years and years waiting with your life on hold for an opportunity to live your life. And that's what we want to shine light on, the extreme needs that the trans and queer communities, not just from Latin America, but from all the global south, the extreme needs we have here, and why Europe and the US are responsible for part of these problems with their interventions, with their selling of arms to armed conflicts. And again, it's just like you mentioned, there's a lot we want to talk, but let's just say we are here because we want to change the narrative here in the Netherlands, little by little, person by person, not from numbers, but talking about human beings. And
so we'll go to another song. Thank you, Alejandra. And the next song is by Manuel Barzón, and it's called Desmonte del ESMAD. So maybe for those who don't know what the ESMAD is, it's the riot police of Colombia. It's like you can compare it with the MA here in the Netherlands. So Desmonte del ESMAD is like deconstruct Desmat, DMA. Okay.
That's the sound of the police. That's the sound of the police. That's the sound of the police. That's the sound of the police.
Andan armados como una bandola, trafican, roban como una bandola, insultan, pegan como una bandola, matan impunes como una bandola. Que son parce pues, una bandola. Ven te cuento la rola de la pandilla de moda. Parche de verde y pistola, pasamontañas y guantes, armaduras gigantes, cascos antiinflamantes, escudos y detonantes, granadas aturdidoras, fly, esposas y gases. Y ya están listos a reprimir manifestantes. Piden refuerzos para coger de quieto a 3 estudiantes, o mejor a 1 a 2 transeúntes o algún incauto inocente. Papeles, celular, una requisa o le doy en la cara, marica. No son agentes, son maleantes. ¿Hasta cuándo tanto aguante? Pídeles más, solo queremos su desmonte. El escuadrón móvil antidisturbios ha sido responsable de la victimización de miles de jóvenes, mujeres, indígenas, campesinos, estudiantes, a quienes ha asesinado, lesionado gravemente y perseguido. Y es que disparan a quemarropa, muchachos indefensos desarmados. No hay perdón y olvido que persigue a quien no puede defenderse desalmados. Gases y disparos y fusiles contra cánticos y cacerolas, pero no le tememos ni a ustedes ni a sus pistolas. El pueblo se llenó de dignidad. Colombia despertó y ahora conoce la verdad. No son policías, son asesinos sin piedad. Que suene, que retumbe, desmonte el ESMAD, desmonte el ESMAD, desmonte el ESMAD. ¡Chua! Maldito sea el soldado que vuelve las armas contra su propio pueblo. El artículo 218 de la Constitución dice: la Policía Nacional es un cuerpo armado de naturaleza civil, cuyo fin primordial es el mantenimiento de las condiciones necesarias para el ejercicio de los derechos y libertades públicas y para asegurar que los habitantes de Colombia convivan en paz. Para eso es, para nada más. Queremos paz, una nueva fuerza pública para la paz. Reforma a la policía y desmonte el ESMAD. Fuerza Dylan Cruz vive. En memoria de Nicolás Neira, Diego Felipe Becerra, Johnny Silva, Oscar Salas, Carlos Giovanni Blanco y tantos y tantas jóvenes cuyos sueños fueron cegados por el ESMAD. ¡Que viva el paro! A parar para avanzar. ¡Viva el paro nacional!
For the ones that just tuned now, we are here this afternoon with Papaya Kuir, with Nadia and Alejandra. Listen, very important stories. Please.
Thank you. The song that we just heard is a song about the Paro Nacional, the national strike in Colombia, which has been happening since the 28th of April. And I'm going to give you a little bit of context here. The strike is against a new tax reform that the president of Colombia wants to install. And it's a very unfair tax reform because they want the government wants to start taxing people, even though we are in the midst of a global pandemic that has left many Colombian citizens on the brink of poverty, without jobs, without access to means and resources. So the people from Colombia have protested, and this is also a national awakening protest against a system, a very unfair system that for decades have looked away on the problems that the Colombian people face. And because the Colombian people want more opportunities for the newer generations, so they don't have to go through the same problems that the government and more than 50 years of war have brought into the country.
Yeah, and it's also a reaction to the right-wing government that is in place in Colombia right now. Just as in Brazil, for example, we have a Bolsonaro who is also right-wing. And for example, in Colombia, this right wing is also implementing laws that are very queer unfriendly, very trans unfriendly. So yeah, Colombia has been in a strike for almost 1 month. And we're in contact with some people there, and they're really going out on the streets every day. Like thousands of people all over the country are going out on the streets every day with this feeling of enough is enough. You know, they want things to change. They want to have a better life, more safety, a government that actually cares about the people. So yeah, big changes, what the people want, and that's why they keep going out. They keep going out every day, despite the huge violence that the police, that the SMAT is, they're like completely out of control. Like there's videos of them completely on drugs, like beating people up. A very, very sad story also of a 13-year-old girl, I think. Her name is Alison Menendez, and she committed suicide after she was raped by 4 policemen. So yeah, it's kind of a free zone where the police can just do whatever they want. And the people are so fed up of it that they keep going onto the streets, even with all the risks that are involved. But yeah, the violence that the police is using and that they're allowed to use is completely disproportional. Like they're basically just doing whatever the fuck they want. And the government is fine with that. So yeah, it's like a build-up, I feel. No? And then this tax reform is what makes everybody go out on the streets. So yeah, it's like a social revolution, like how happened in Chile a few months ago. And in Brazil, there was also, in Brazil, it's a long story also of left against right. I'm not so sure about actually the social revolution in Brazil at the moment, but...
Well, the situation in Brazil now it is that they have a right-wing, extreme right-wing government. And for now, things can be a little bit more calmer under this Bolsonaro government. But going back just a little bit to the situation in Colombia, I want to add that in less than a month, 43 people have been killed by the military. And every day we have new numbers. And I want to mention that tomorrow, there will be a demonstration in support of the protesters in Colombia. It's going to be at 2 p.m. in the dam, and of course we Papaya Kuir completely support this demonstration because we are against all kind of totalitarian anti-right governments and movements, not just in Latin America, but also around the world.
Yeah, I just wanted to add maybe what also links Brazil, Colombia, Chile, and other right-wing governments is that regularly journalists are murdered, activists are murdered, or forced to flee the country. So yeah, this is something that they have in common among other things.
So just to make it clear, that stays here the invitation tomorrow at 2 p.m. at the Dam Square, right?
Correct.
Yes. Should we go for some music? Okay, so the next song it's called Revolución por Colombia. Revolution for Colombia.
Sí, Suramérica, Respira revolución, respira rap, hip hop real. A más de uno se le escucha que Colombia está en desgracia. Políticos usurpan los recursos de la patria. Sea la educación privilegio para pocos. El pueblo vive dormido y no sale de su reposo. Mas le pregunto, ¿usted ejerce su derecho al voto? ¿O se resigna a continuar un sistema como los otros?
¿Para qué si siempre son los mismos?
Ese cinismo y raciocinio es lo que nos mantiene oprimidos. A mí no me meta los dedos a la boca diciendo que esto es así, que así Colombia toca. Vuélvase serio, no salir diciendo que está en contra del gobierno y en las elecciones se queda durmiendo. Individuos unan masa, pensamientos cultura, empujar para el mismo lado, buenos indicios segura. Unión es la virtud del pueblo, la ignorancia es su atadura. Qué verdad más dura. Cerrar las urnas, el voto que prima, blanco es el sistema, burguesía caída, convocan de nuevo, blanco nuevamente, el sistema colapsa, caliente el ambiente. El país está en la gente, Suramérica es el pueblo, no sus dirigentes.
Freaky, 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 freaky flow.
Real poesía colombiana.
Freaky, 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 freaky flow.
Pasé la página, un saludo desde el tercer mundo. Etiqueta que no comparto y de la cual me excluyo un tuyo. Nos catalogan como un signo de avaricia.
Welcome back, and just a little reminder, we are here with Papaya Kuir, with Nadia and Alejandra. And if you want to talk with us, if you have questions or comments to us, please write them on Facebook if you are seeing this through Facebook. If you are seeing this through the OT website, send an email to CAAT with 2 A's, so CAAT projects @gmail.com, and then we can enter a little bit in dialogue, and I will let you keep on explaining the situation in Colombia.
Thank you. Speaking of the situation in Colombia, one thing that we have seen through our friends in Colombia and also through the media is how art and activists have shown or have been protesting with dancing, with performances, and this brings us to another point, which is art and how we as Papaya Kuir, we want to do our causes or activism through art. We have already created a movie which was presented last year in Istanbul for the Through the Window project, which I'm not sure I have their Instagram, but this is a story which was made by one of our members, Paula, and another member, Sundari, about again the situation of migrants and asylum seekers here in this country, waiting and waiting for an answer to leave, which is something I already mentioned before. And also we want to talk about what is our next project, which will be a concert that we will have on the 18th of June. Can we call it a concert? Oh, it's more a cabaret show.
It's the Queer Cabaret, right? Yeah. Together with the Red Comunitarias Trans, which is a collective in Bogota, actually a collective of trans people who have been organizing themselves as a collective, who were living in a house together, but then they got out of the house, they had to leave the house because the neighborhood didn't like them living there. So they're actually raising funds to be able to rent a house again, so they have a safe space to go. There's a documentary about it also. Maybe we can put it in a link somewhere.
Yeah, it would be super nice to have access to it, right? And also you are saying 18th of June, and where is going to take place?
In the Tanker, that is in Amsterdam North. And we are currently looking also for artists that would like to perform there, and also to our, how do you say in English, or listeners or viewers? Or to our audience, if they can share our event and also go there and help us.
What will be the best way of contacting you then for that, in case there's people that would like to play or people that would like to support and share?
They can check our social media, Papaya Kuir Facebook, and also is Papaya Kuir on Instagram, or if they are interested, if there's an artist interested in cooperating with us, they can always send an email to papayakuir@gmail.com. And yeah.
It is always good to know, and we
Yeah.
will tell this in the end again as a reinforcement.
Okay. And now time for music.
Okay, let me check what the name is of this next song. Now we're going to listen to Soy Estudiante, which means I'm a student, by Reincidentes.
Soy estudiante latino, soy estudiante, 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 ya no parante. Soy estudiante latino, soy estudiante, 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 ya no parante.
Soy estudiante, joven rebelde, soñador y echado pa'lante, con las compitas del aguante, sonriente, porque a pesar de la dificultad de la universidad, jodemos a la autoridad y sobra esperanza. La rebelión desde la plaza, che, avanza, la masa no será más mansa. Acá se construye la nueva Colombia con fútbol de popular y confianza. Esta es la alianza de las 5 Jotas contra las 5 P's que se afianza. Jóvenes joviales jodidos, juramos enjuiciar al puerco plutócrata, el puro, la plata y la panza. Porque leer te ubica, tú publica que el rector invita al estreno de la educación pública en Colombia, la película. Pero acá proponemos la reforma agraria y no pagar matrícula. Casas estudiantiles, útiles en seres víveres. No más cadáveres de líderes, ni decanos, viles títeres. Así es, ya saben cómo es. ¿Y usted quién es? ¿Usted quién es?
Soy estudiante latino, soy estudiante, 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 ya no parante. Soy estudiante latino, soy estudiante, 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 ya no parante.
Yo te conozco, de ti dicen que eres una tipa o un tipo tosco. Yo soy realista, pido lo imposible y denuncio este fiasco. Prohibido prohibir es la consigna de los que aún sentimos asco. Rabia, pena y dolor, pero mi forma de hacer la guerra es haciendo el amor y cantando hardcore. Aquí no hay nadie que no sea pecador o pecadora. La revolución hay que hacerla ahora. Estudiantes sin demora, levanten la mano las soñadoras. La conciencia crítica de la nación está en tu cora. Porque tú estudias, tú marchas, tú escribes, tú luchas. Y cuando sales a alterar el orden te encapuchas. Trabajadoras, profesoras, estudiantes contra todas a partida de hijuepuchas. Las derrotas fueron muchas, pero aún así cruzas por la 30 y escuchas que
Soy
escuchas.
estudiante latino, soy estudiante, 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 ya no parante. Soy estudiante latino, soy estudiante, 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 ya no parante.
En el Freud no hagan una prueba de doping. Acá somos saltimbanquis y lanzamos junkies a yuppies y junkies y yankees. El panorama es gris, pero aún así soy feliz. Leyendo y haciendo análisis, construyendo el país. Saquen un papel, un borrador y un lápiz, dice el profe. Empiezo mi ensayo con patria o muerte como epígrafe. Desde aquí se conspira contra el jefe y su matarife. El Ministerio de Educación es un insulto, mequetrefes. Otro semestre, por supuesto, en el que el presupuesto se va por el grifo. ¿Para qué la educación el acertijo? Nuestros profesionales superan las expectativas del mercado, un rector dijo. Como pensar no está de moda, ni tampoco ven que quieren cerrar esto fijo. Pero al igual que las compitas feministas, yo grito.
Now this song we just heard is called El Estudiante, the student, and it basically talks about the struggles students in Colombia and Latin America face amid the limitations of not only the limitations to be able to study amid poverty, lack of support from the government, but also that once you graduate, there are no jobs for you. There's no place for you to grow, and how you can, by protesting against the system for better opportunities, then you can end up being killed by the militaries, by the government, basically. So it's a very powerful song, and it reflects a reality that I think is very common in Colombia and Latin America, in the global south.
Yeah, and I feel that in any kind of movement for social justice, art is so important, no? Because you create music around it, you create visuals around it, you create movies around it. There's some visuals now coming from Colombia that are so strong. People making posters to hang in the street. Like people wanting to express everything that's happening, everything that they're feeling by demonstrating, but also by dance, by music, by hip hop, by drawing, by graffiti. This all, I feel, kind of supports the movement. It supports the people going out on the street. It gives more visibility to the movement. It articulates also better what the movement is about, because you can see it in music, you can see it in videos, you can see it in posters. So it's all together, you know. I feel, yeah. So for example, hip hop is now being used a lot in Colombia for the national strike, and it's real, like, political hip hop. It's not hip hop about I have so much money and I have so many lovers and I'm so cool and I'm so better than you. No, it's really spreading the message and also giving information to people and keeping people updated about what's happening. So in that sense, art really supports any kind of movement. And yeah, it's especially the visual art that is coming from Colombia now is super beautiful, super strong. Really, you can check out Despiertes. Is a really cool artist that's doing this. So yeah,
I would just like to interrupt you a little bit, because I also find it very modest from your part, because you are also a musician, right? And you also use music. And you could come here and promote yourself, but you decided not to. You decided to just put a light on what is happening in Colombia and also promote the music there. But maybe it would also be nice if you share a little bit about your own music and where people can find it.
Okay, thanks, Andrea. So I'm MC Mustache. I also make rap and hip hop, my own music. You can find me on the socials, on Spotify, on YouTube. Yeah, and for me, music is the same. It's a way to express myself, but it's also a way to bring out a message and to make people feel good, especially my queer family, my queer peers, activists. Like they're the people I make music for. I want them to feel appreciated. I want them to feel seen. I want to help keep the hope up, because sometimes it feels like there's so much and that you just want to give up and yeah, not be busy with all the shit that's happening in the world. So I think music can really help with that, you know, it can really motivate people. And another thing that's really important with art is that it brings people together. So even if you're just helping someone make a poster, or you're helping someone cook food for a demonstration or for a meeting, or it's bringing people together that want the same thing, or that have certain goals in common. And just by art letting people come together, it's already creating more of a movement, more of a stronger articulation also of what it's about. So yeah, Papaya Kuir wants to definitely do more art projects as a collective, but also inviting other artists from Latin America to come here or to do collaborations, to work with Latinx artists in the Netherlands. So this is one of the things we do. And maybe we can talk a bit about the other things that Papaya is doing, that is busy with. Do you want to talk a bit about it, Alejandra?
I would love to talk about it. And as we mentioned before, there are many people that are trapped into the cracks of a system that cannot see their intersections and therefore cannot get the help they need. Right now, we are busy collecting all kind of help for trans and queer persons in a state of being undocumented or in the asylum procedure. And what we are doing now is finding rooms for people that cannot have access to a shelter, or getting help with money for transportation for someone that, let's say, needs to go to the doctor but do not have €5 to take the tram or to take the bus. I know it's probably unthinkable that things like that can happen in the Netherlands, but it is a reality for many. Or just to have a warm meal in a place where you can feel safe. I mean, there are places in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, where if you are really hungry, you can go and eat. But as many of us know, or as some people know, if you are different and, let's say, you look different than the rest, going to a place even to get food can mean being in a situation of danger. So for this, what we are doing is trying to create bridges to connect people that want to help in many different ways with those who need the help. And again, it can be help with having a free room for a few days, a week, a month, for someone to have a place to sleep without having to worry about shelter. Or it can be also someone who wants to accompany someone to the doctor and help either with translations or help just by being there, navigating this super difficult Dutch system that is already slow and difficult for those who have rights, and it's even more difficult for people that do not understand it, or did not grow up here, or do not have the right to be here. And by right to be here, I mean in an official way, because I believe and we believe that all of us have the right to be everywhere around the world, because borders are artificial constructs. And another thing is to help with donations, to help with money to buy things. Right now we have in our network of people and friends, we have a transgender woman who just had a surgery, and she comes from the global south, and she's here undocumented, and she do not have the means to work now because she just had a surgery that went bad also, so now she has to have another surgery. And in the meantime, the health system is not worried that where is she going to sleep, what is she going to eat. They are just worried that she's going to have a surgery in 1 month, and that also she needs to pay for that. And so we need help for so many basic things. And so to our audience, yes, we need that help, and we'll be glad to tell you more. And so you can open your hearts. It's really not always about money. It's not that you can give us €20 or €100 and that will make life easier. It's also about bringing people together. So if, let's say, you have an afternoon free, you can always contact us and ask, hey, I want to help. How can I do that? And maybe at that exact moment, there is someone who will need this help. So.
And I guess it's also helping with changing all these narratives, right? And also talking about human rights for all. And
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
So that is also important. But again, if people want to enter in contact with Papaya Queer, Facebook and Instagram are good options, right?
Correct. And our Gmail address, papayaqueer@gmail.com.
Yeah, and our one of our visions is to one day have a Papaya Queer house, so that we always have a space, hopefully, to offer, because since we started, every week there's someone looking for a place to stay. sometimes for a week, sometimes for longer. And so far, we've nearly always found people to help us. So people who have an extra room or who are away for a while or want to share their apartment. And yeah, we want to continue building this network of people who have more resources than others and who are willing to share. So we can help each other out and also become a more sustainable movement where maybe if someone needs a house, we immediately have a list of like, okay, we can contact all these people, because now we're still building up this network. Yes.
And because we are still in the process of building this network, like you mentioned, many times we are so busy trying to look for resources, all kind of resources that more is needed. Let's just put it that way. More is needed.
Stays the message to everyone. One more song?
We're going to have another song, and this song is... because actually the original plan was to invite Rasureitor, who selected these songs for us to be part of the show, but because of technical limitations, it wasn't possible to organize it all. So yeah, we don't know as much about the music as the person who made the playlist, but check her out. She's an incredible artist, DJ, and she's a hair cutter. She makes really crazy designs, like shaved into people's hair, and she does this as a job, but she also goes once a week. She goes into neighborhoods and cuts people's hair for free. So yeah, she's really cool. Check her out on the socials also. And this song is called Soldado Despierta, which means awake soldier, woke soldier, and solitario.
Colombia despierta. Es hora. Ahora. Ja, sí, acá pasó de todo y es que no ha pasado nada. Tierra santa indígena por extranjeros ultrajada. Desplazamientos forzosos y masacres despiadadas. La verdad no les conviene, no será televisada. Revolución artística del ñero populacho. Más que artista y compadre, trabajadores muchachos. En la tierra de intercambios de los pacos por el taco. De los narcos y presidentes que antes fueron paracos. El pueblo está berraco y que el casero lazo aguante. Viva el líder que social busca mejorar lo de antes. Viva el paro nacional, aunque nos silencien y maten. Altos mandos caerán cuando los pueblos se levanten. Escape de mi rutina para no llegarles tarde. A morir como valiente, no a vivir como cobarde. Sin extravagante alarde, yo noctámbulo bombarde. Fuente de vida barrial mientras que las ciudades arden. Zona roja capital, el sueño no se concilia. Montaron toque de queda a cuidarnos en familia. Hoy no acepto requisas ni a mangualadas palizas. Hoy un cambio se produce, el país se paraliza. Barrio se militariza, su cobardía es inmensa. Aun con nuestras diferencias, nuestra unión produce fuerza. La música fortaleza y en ella lo que se incide. Fuerzas armadas reprimen, pero el pueblo acá resiste. El miedo que inyectaron, nuestra gente amenaza. La paz que nos vendieron como su justicia es falsa. Por si no vuelvo los amo, lo puro no se reemplaza. Voy a frentear por lo nuestro, no me esperen en la casa.
No hable de revolución si por internet es su huelga.
No hable de un mérito propio si a otro mérito se cuelga.
Ese culo cagón, bienvenido al sal si puedes.
Sal de tus cuatro paredes o solo por redes puedes enfrentar la realidad que aterra. Terrorismo de Estado consume el alucinógeno donde se cruza el fuego al frente de la guerra. Los sueños no se ahogan, aguantan el lacrimógeno. Raíces campesinas defienden las montañas. Políticos de mierda solo se ven en campañas. Palabras pegan más duro que los golpes y las balas. Pero quiero ver acciones y ojalá no sean malas. Marcha, porque podemos lograrlo. Porque el Estado es tirano y tiramos a derrocarlo. Porque su salud me indigna, compatriotas me dirijo. Quiero un país mejor para que vivan nuestros hijos. No se maten entre ustedes, no lo hagan a lo mal hecho. Nos confunden, nos dividen, transgiversan.
So welcome to the last minutes here with Papaya Kuir, with Nadia and Alejandra. And I have to confess that the idea to start these talks about artivism was also when people came to me and asked me what could we do for other situations that are happening outside Europe. For example, in Mozambique, at the north of Mozambique, they have a very, very hard situation. And the truth is, it's not easy. It's not easy to know exactly how to start. It's not easy, okay, shall we do some petition? Is that worth it? Or how do we start? What do we do? So these talks are also a little bit to enlighten us, or also to ask experienced people what can be a good starting point and what would be your advices in that field once you already start Papaya Kuir and once you are trying to change all these narratives. I know that is a hard question. I know. It's not easy because I don't have the answers. That's why I'm asking. But maybe some tips, maybe something you would like to share with us, for us that are starting and want to be artivists. How do we give the first step?
Well, I think the first step will be to acknowledge your privilege and to acknowledge that you are in many times in better situations randomly, not because you have done something extraordinary, rather because you were born with a certain passport in a certain family with a certain background. And the other thing will be to try to contact organizations like Papaya Kuir, like CAAT, for those who speak Arabic, and to ask the organizations or ask people what they need. Never assume and never pretend you're gonna save them, okay? No, we don't need saviors. We need comrades who want to make this a better world, but from a humble, being humble, okay? And one, acknowledge your privilege. Two, make space for those with less access to privilege, and also three, don't assume. Ask what is needed. Don't assume that trans sex workers need HIV treatment, or don't assume, I don't know, homeless people will be happy to be recorded while you are giving them food. That is super fucked up, and never do it. It's disrespectful, and am I too angry?
No. Keep on going.
Yeah. So for me, that would be the most important thing. Let people and who have the knowledge about these experiences guide you into how to make this a better world for everybody. That would be my advice, Nadia.
Yeah, definitely. I think is the mic still on? Yes. Okay.
Now it is on.
Yeah. So what can you do if you're at home? Maybe you don't know any organizations. Maybe you don't know where to start. Yeah, I think also educating yourself, watching documentaries, reading books, trying to get more information, a more overview of what is happening is something you can do in your free time. You know, you can take it at the pace that you want. There's a good Dutch website called withuiswerk.nl, which already talks a lot about a lot of different topics. I think another thing that you can do at home as an individual is be critical where you spend your money. So, which products are you buying? Are you supporting a huge enterprise like the Albert Heijn, and giving them more money so they can spend it on making more commercials, or are you spending money at the local Turkish shop or Moroccan shop? So yeah, these are also small daily things that people can take into consideration of who am I giving money to, what am I consuming, which brands am I giving more money to. Yes, and yeah, I think Alejandra said a lot, and we already said a lot about this. I'm just giving these two things. So read, watch movies, listen music that are busy with political topics, and be critical where you spend your money, what you consume, and yeah.
And another thing that I'd like to say, if you want to help, if you want to save the world, maybe you're thinking of going to South America or to Africa to volunteer in some project over there and get a nice selfies. Be critical on that too, okay? Be critical on that, and maybe the help it can be done here to an elderly person who has no social network. Maybe the help can be here in this country to a single mother who needs help with a babysitting their kids, so she can rest for a little bit, and maybe here also be in contact with the BPOC communities. All of them, all of us need an extra help, but again, just be humble also.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one more thing to that. So I think often when people want to help, they're like, oh, I want to help these poor people you want to help the poor people, but actually maybe you can start to think, why are they poor? And putting pressures on the institutions and the companies that are keeping poverty in place, because we have all the technologies, all the knowledge to not have poverty in the entire world, but it's still happening because of the political and economic systems that are in place. So if you want to help someone, maybe not only look at that person that has less than you, how can I help them, but look at the bigger structures that are actually putting this person in a place of need, and put pressure on those bigger structures. Maybe it's the company you work for, maybe it's the company your parents work for. So also put pressure there.
I think is a lovely answer, much better than what I expected. So thank you very much for your wisdom. So no white saviors, a bit decolonizing our mindsets. There is definitely a lot of work that is needed in Europe. We don't really do things very nice, and we definitely do not treat the others very nice either. So let's finish here. I really thank you both for all your braveness of coming, making time, also to speak a language that you might not be so used to. I know it was hard, but you were brilliant, and I'm very happy to have with me Nadia and Alejandra from Papaya Kuir. And like you heard something, just go to their social media, follow them, and support. We're gonna finish with one more song. Do we have time for one more song? Looking to the technical people now. Okay, since I asked, I have So a last song, Alejandra, what is going to be?
It's one of my songs, MC Mustache Dame Mas. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.